Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? So, today we are going to be ranting about video game store trading credits or video game stores that take games in. Well, one thing's for sure, I don't really like trading in games to game stores, especially knowing how cheap they can be. For instance, like when I took a Wii to Mr. Deals, and about 13 games, and they were quality games. And those games were like Mario Party 8, Mario Kart, Resident Evil, The Umbrella Chronicles, Cookie Mama in there, which I'm not really a fan of, so I had to get rid of that, but it was in there. Call of Duty 5 World at War, Red Steel 1 and 2, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, Zelda, Twilight Princess, and I think there was the House of the Dead 2 and 3 returns on there. And one or two other games. And so I took all those games there to trade into him to get some money. Because at the time I didn't have a job. Well, sure enough, when I did, he offered me $60 for the whole thing. I'm like, $60? Are you kidding me? That's a ripoff. He had his worker test out the machine and everything. Apparently, the Mario Party 8 game was a little scratched up, so it didn't play all the way through. It ended up stopping. Originally, it was going to give me 80, to be honest with y'all. With that game not working, I said, oh, well, that's going to bring it down to about 60. It's ridiculous, man. I told him he needed to give me 150 for it. He was like, oh, no, 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 no. No, definitely not. Absolutely not. I was like, come on, these are quality games, and there's a system there with everything you need. Oh, well, yeah, but the controller's a little messed up, and, we have like 10 of these Wii's in the back, so yeah, no. No, $60. So then I was like, how about 120? I went $30 down from the original price I offered. He said, nope, can't do it. $60. I was like, come on, give me 120. It would really help out. Help me out. I started explaining my situation, what was going on. I need some money. And I really didn't have a job at the time, so I really needed it. And he didn't seem to care at all. He really didn't. So he was like, no, can't help you. $60, $60. And then I went as low as $100. And he still was like, nope, $60. That's the highest I can go, Larry. So I was about to take my stuff and get the hell out of there. I literally was, because I thought that this was bullshit, like a total ripoff. And it was just unfair. So I kept my calm because like I was getting a little frustrated with Mr. Deals because he was lowballing me. I mean, the guy was lowballing me. $60 black Wii with the controller, the nunchuck, and all the cords, and 13 games for $60. It's like, are you out of your mind? Like, asshole? Much? Wouldn't you say? Yeah, I would say so. Not fair. And I told him, look, dude, these are quality games, and you're only trying to offer me $60 for this. Come on, give me 100. I was stressing it. I was like, come on, give me $100. Give me $100. Give me $100. He was like, no, I can't do it. No. Nope, $60. At the end, I ended up taking his lousy $60 for that and the games. But that's only because I didn't have a job and I didn't feel that my mom or brother was going to help me out. So I ended up accepting his crummy $60. And only because he felt bad, he actually threw in another 5. So it ended up being 65. But even still, if he had really excuse me, if he had really cared, he would have given me $100. But he didn't care that much. I would trade nothing into Mr. Dale's. It's a total ripoff. He really is a total ripoff of trading games in. Has fair prices on games when you buy shit from him, but when you trade stuff in, he rips you off. Not even worth it. Oh, and to make matters worse, I definitely had to talk about GameStop. Because when they were EB Games, they were actually pretty fair with their trade-ins. Excuse me, with their trade-ins and everything. They used to give good trade-ins for old games, like back on the N64, Sega Dreamcast, PS1, and then, Xbox and PS2 and GameCube around that time. Because that's really the era where I was growing up. Because, Super Nintendo came out a year before I was born, or came out the year I was born. So I didn't really get to experience Super Nintendo until I became an adult. And the NES I was fortunate enough to actually have at a young age. But that's only because some friends passed it on to me and Terry. And the original Nintendo was meant for us both. But Terry was not into video games as much as I was. He never got into collecting video games or anything like that like I did. I used to get so excited going into game stores back then. And back then they had Game Crazy and they had EB Games. That's all they really had. They did have one other game store. It was out in Latham. It was in a building across from Ames. I remember going in there once or twice, but they went out of business. I got a couple of N64 games in there. I remember picking up NFL Quarterback Club 99. And I wanted Turok 2, but Mom wouldn't let me get it because it was a mature rated game. So I never ended up getting that as a kid. I played it as an adult, but not as a kid. I think there was one other game I bought in that game store, but they shut down, unfortunately, and then it was just Game Crazy and EB Games. Game Crazy was definitely better when it came to trade-ins. Way better at the time. Anyways, back to what I was saying. EB Games was much more fair. When trading in games, you got better store credit, which you always do with game stores. But even in cash, it was still fair. You take about 20 games there, they'd offer you at least $100. GameStop, you take about 20 of your older games there to trade in, you're lucky if you get 40. 20 games traded in for $40 or $45. Is that really worth trading in your games? Hell no. Think about it. If you paid $40 to $60 for each one of those games, those PlayStation 4 games or those PlayStation 5 games, and you trade them in for $1.50, $3.12, $1.80, $2.60, or whatever, $5.50, or whatever amount they give you for those games. I know it's not more than probably $7 or $8 at the very most. Because if it's a $20 game, they only throw down a 7 or an 8. Which is still ridiculous. Because they're going to turn around and sell that game for $18 or $19. You're getting ripped off. You really are. So why, as a consumer, should we be ripped off by these video game companies? We should not have to take their shit. We should you know what? Screw you. I'm not trading in my games here. And then if they start like begging that you trade in, like, or they make these like comments about, oh well, you're not gonna get a better deal than here. Trading in here, we give it fair prices, blah blah blah. Even though you can like see right through their lies and just know you're full of shit, dude. Like, oh, Jason working at the counter there, and Maria, those two working at the counter. You're full of shit. Of course, those names aren't like for real. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing out some names. So say Jason, Maria, Todd, and Stephanie are working there. You know, because I know that GameStop has at least 4 or 5 employees at each game store. You know what I mean, for coverage and everything. So that way they can rotate the employees on their hours and still have like room for them to help the customers, because you cannot help a customer check out if there's only one of you in the store and the other one is, like if it's just one, you gotta stop what you're doing with the people in the store that you're trying to help find a game for them and go back to the register to help the people waiting in line. But if there's 2 people, then you can do that. So it makes sense to have 2 people in the store. So yeah. But yeah, trading in games to GameStop, they just rape you pretty much. And it's not worth trading in games. The trading credit sucks. Okay, it sucks bad. I would not trade anything into them, especially if I pay $20 for a game and they only want to give me $1 for it or $2 for it. It's not worth trading in your games. Hold on to that game. That game could be worth much more money in the future. Think about it. There are games on the PS2 that are a lot of money right now. Rule of Rose is the rarest game on the PS2. And that game you could easily get $1,000 for. Kuon is a rare PS2 game. Okay? And so is Siren's becoming rare. And so is a couple other games like Haunting Grounds, another horror game. And Blood Will Tell and The Way of the Samurai 2. They're becoming rare. They're becoming hard to find. So, and even games on the N64, Clay Fighter Sculptures Cut. That game is so rare. It's like $300 or $400 right now. Because it was a Blockbuster exclusive. There's a Flintstones game on the NES. I have that game. Although I found out it's a reproduction cart. It's only worth a little over $100, unfortunately. If I had the real thing, I'd be sitting on probably about $1,500. Those are just some examples. I'm sure there's a couple of games on the PS3 that are pretty rare, that are hard to come by. Folklore is one I've been looking out for, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. And I know that the NCAA football game 2014 has also gotten to be rare since it's the last football game. It's around $100. Anyways, yeah. So the rarity of certain games, even trading in the game stores, you'd probably only get half of what they're selling it for. So even then, it's not worth trading games in, because they just rip you off and they don't care one bit. They don't care at all. They're not there to help you. As a consumer, you buy games from a store, fine, buy the games. But as for keeping the games, I would hold on to them, because you never know in the future if those games will become super rare and valuable. And once they do, then you're going to be sitting on a gold mine. You'll be thankful, especially if a bill pops up at random. You'll be able to pay that bill. So my recommendation is, don't trade games into any game store, really. Hold on to your games. And don't let those people at game stores influence you to do stupid things and trade games in. Um, like another example, PS2. I was thinking about bringing one of my PS2s to Vortex Video Games. They currently sell a PS2 for $130. Collectors want PS2s these days. I guess it's because either theirs broke down and they need another one, or they just really have that nostalgia itch. PS2 is really good. A lot of great games on it. I know I've shown off my PS2 collection, and I've done a top 15 best PS2 games. But yeah, it is a great system, and I understand the nostalgia for the PS2. It is the greatest out of all of the Sony consoles. So Vortex, they're selling it for $130. However, when trading it in for cash, they only want to give $40. Or store credit, they give $60. I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth the money. So I simply said no. And when I went to J Street Video Games, the people working there said it depends on the day or the time. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why the time of day would make any difference on the value of it. I really don't. Unless there's more nostalgia for it and the damn system goes up in value or something, you know. But time of day or whatever, I was just listening to him talk, just like, because I didn't see the point in that. Like, he was saying depends on the time or the day or time of day or whatever, and the value of it goes up or goes down and blah blah blah. But personally, I'm not going to trade a PS2 in for just $40 cash. And you know, it's like most people, when they trade this stuff in, they're not looking for store credit, because with store credit you can only buy what's in their store. But if you have the cash, you can buy whatever the hell you want to buy, and you can't do that with store credit. So they end up taking the cash even though it's less. You know, if you get $100 for something that you would have gotten like $150 for with store credit, but then you're gonna turn around and sell it for $210 or something, they're still making out like a bat out of hell. They're still screwing you. They're still ripping you off. Okay, so this pisses me off about these game stores, man. I understand they have to make money and everything, but you make money from screwing people over. I mean, at least give them a fair store credit, okay? Even Pastime Legends has screwed up now, too. Because when I took 30 games to Pastime Legends, they only wanted to give me $25 for the whole stack of games. It's just not worth trading in. I denied them that. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Rather pass them on to Gimpy Ninja over that. At least maybe he could work out a trade with me or something. You know, he would be more fair than these half-ass game stores that aren't giving us diddly squat for our games. Practically nothing. Just $1 here, or 50 cents there, $1.50, $2, $2.50 there. It's ridiculous. It really is. They shouldn't be screwing us over like that, but they don't give a shit. They just keep on doing it. They keep, you know, and it sucks. It really sucks. Pastime Legends used to give good store credit trade-ins, but now they no longer do. And it's really just not fair. Like, Emily really changed everything, and no one is going to trade into your game store when you're doing this, because they'll buy games from you, I'm sure, but as far as trading stuff in, they're not going to do it, because you know why? Because you're not giving them a good store credit trade-in. When you had a system developed where you were giving good store credit trade-in, people were compelled to trade into you and your workers. And when that happened, I was even satisfied. I've traded like 20, 30 games and before and gotten over $150 worth. and store credit. I'm like, yay, yeah, this is awesome. The one and only place to trade games in and get good store credit for. But then she screwed that up, and now their rule is in the Troy location. Oh, well, if it's less than a $20 game or something, we have to give like 60% less than what it's worth, which only gives you about $2 or $3 a game, if even that. It sucks. Okay, it sucks. It's not fair. And you end up giving somebody $30 for their games, or $40 at the most for all those games they traded in, like 30 or 40 games for $40 or $45, whatever the amount is. You're still ripping them off. Come on, Emily. Don't rip them off. Give them something worthwhile. That'd be like trading in a copy of Earthbound and them only giving them $2 for a game that's over $120. A total rip off. Rip off. For real, it's not worth trading games in. So I don't recommend trading any games into the game stores. Hold on to what you have. And if it's duplicates of games and you really want to get rid of them, your best bet is to give them to a fellow person you know that sells these games, like Gimpy Ninja, or just sell them yourself on eBay. You'll be making way more money that way. Make sure the condition is in good shape. Other than that, you're better off selling on eBay. Even if it takes longer, it's worth your time to do that because you're not going to get ripped off that way. You have the right to deny someone's offer. Anyways, that's all I got to say. Rant over. God bless you all. Thank you for watching and take care. Peace.